It's Friday, so we're gonna try and put out another Trucker Money video here, number 46, a week of August 30th to September 3rd. Wasn't really planning to do this video today, so I'm gonna kind of shoot from the hip. Uh, my buddy Cash is King Trucking called me about an hour ago, said, you know what would make my life better today? Kind of having a bad day. How about a Friday money video, so we don't have to talk about trucking for a while? I said, let's do it. So if you're new here, on Fridays, we like to get together, talk about things outside of trucking, personal finance, business, money, investing. Uh, None of it advice, just me sharing my personal journey in hopes to motivate and inspire y'all to take control of your financial situation and build a future for yourself. I'd like to talk about any moves I made for the week or my thoughts on anything. It's just me talking. So um, let's jump right into it here. First, I'd like to talk about any passive income. My favorite thing, outside of earning a living through my business or job, is passive income. That's income you earn from things other than your job that maybe you do some work once and then you earn a residual income off of that, going forward. Things like rental real estate, dividend paying stocks and assets. Heck, even this YouTube thing, don't make much off it, a little bit, but over the years you can make a couple dollars if somebody watches your video 5 years from now. So, what did we get paid on this week? Well, obviously a little bit of money here from YouTube. Had one of my rental properties. The rent came in for that, and let's talk about the dividend portfolio here, which pays me every week of the year. Didn't really intend it to be that way, but after I got it set up, I started realizing, hey, this thing's throwing me a little bit of income every week of the year going forward. I made some changes this week, and we'll talk about why here in a little bit. First, let's talk about who paid some dividends this week. Royal Bank of Canada paid me. Starbucks paid out their dividend. LTC Properties, it's long-term care facilities they invest in. AFLAC and Honeywell. So all those companies paid me dividends this week. For me, for doing nothing rather than being a loyal shareholder over time, doing a lot of homework up front to see if I even want to own these companies, and then just keeping up on the general news to see if I still want to own them. But I do a lot up front to make sure this is something I want to be involved in. And then going forward, the homework is a little less. What did I buy this week? I haven't bought in a long time, but I sold some things this week, which I rarely do, to free up some money because there's some other things I wanted to get into. So this week I bought, and only one of them was a sizable investment. One, ExxonMobil, Southern Company, which is a regulated utility. Viatris, a pharmaceutical company. I picked up some more Royal Bank of Canada. Bought a little bit of Pepsi, and put a good chunk into Fidelity Contra Fund, ticker FCNTX. Now, I sold some things, which for people that have been around a while, I rarely do. But, first let's say what I sold. I sold my MindMed position, which is an experimental drug company. BevCana, which is a newer beverage company. And I sold my PPL utility, something I thought I would never do. So now let's talk about why. After we talk about who paid what, when, and how, and what I bought, I'd like to talk about something just kind of general in investing or economy. Why did I sell my PPL when not because of anything I thought was wrong with the company. There was another investment that I wanted to make somewhere else. And I needed to raise some money to do it. And I was looking through everything in the portfolio, and I thought, I'm pretty heavy utilities, pretty heavy in that. And of my utilities, which one do I think I could trim back? And I kind of narrowed it down to PPL. I kept Southern Company and I kept Duke Energy. I don't think I'll ever sell those, especially Duke. I don't think I could ever part with Duke. PPL just kind of went through a transition. They sold off their British division overseas in Europe. They sold off their company, their division over in Europe because of the Brexit situation, and just things weren't going well. And I actually thought it would lead to a brighter future here in the U.S., and it still might. Just picked them because it's the weaker of the three my three utilities, and just a little bit of instability right now. So I weeded out my PPL. It was a rather large position, so I was able to divide it up. That's why I made all them purchases, but a bulk of it, I put a good chunk into that Fidelity Contra fund. Now, I think the market, my personal opinion, is overvalued. I can't argue that with anybody, okay? But the Fidelity Contra fund has served me very, very well over time, and I think it will continue to do that. Also, another thing that prompted me to sell my MindMed and my BevCana positions is I don't feel good about where our economy is going. When I say economy, it's not just the stock market, it's everything. We have turbulence in the transportation market. We all know that if you're in trucking. Primarily, what kind of triggered this is I don't like how I'm seeing shortages everywhere. They're getting worse. They're not getting better. The economies are reopened after what happened last year, but we're going the wrong direction on this supply chain issue. And just being in the industry, if I just keep thinking farther down the road, if these supply chain issues keep going, that we could have some, in addition to what we already have now, some very serious shortages of items. I talked to a lot of people, parts shops, repair shops, restaurant owners. I know some restaurant owners. I know some bar owners. So I talked to a lot of different people. And this shortage and supply chain issue is really getting scary. Businesses are not able to get the products that they need to conduct their everyday business. Every week seems to be getting worse. When you think about that trickling down, everything's kind of a trickle-down effect. I don't feel good about where that's going, and it can trigger a lot of other things. A lot of higher unemployment, because if businesses are closing because they don't have anything to sell, they don't need workers. There's plenty of other reasons for unemployment. I don't think it should be as high as it should. I think a lot of people are not working intentionally. That's a whole nother topic. But at any rate, I guess my overall feeling towards the immediate future for the economy, maybe not long term, but the immediate future, I don't feel good about it. So it's kind of led me to the strategy back to what did I learn last year during the shutdowns and at the beginning of the shutdowns, and what actions did I take? Well, if you remember, if you've been around a while, during the beginning of the shutdowns last year, I went through the portfolio and I weeded out things I thought were non-essential and possibly weakness. So that's what I did here with MindMed and BevCana. They were speculative positions and buys. I made really good money in MindMed. Took my initial investment off the table. If you follow along, you'll remember that. So I left some money in there to just play with the house's money. Done well. Now I'm done. I'm taking that out because I'm not sure. Things like that, non-essentials, are not going to do well. BevCana was a speculative play too. Didn't really make or lose anything on that, but that money's coming out. And I'm going with what I learned last year during the pandemic, that essentials. Okay, if you remember last year when the market tanked, I forget what percentage. Well, companies like Kimberly-Clark, Procter & Gamble, Clorox, they actually did quite well. And a lot of the things that did go down in my portfolio didn't go down nearly as much as the broader market because of a very conservative approach. And I'm repositioning to get back into that conservative approach. For how long? I don't really know. I'll just know I'll know when I see it, or I'll know when we get there. This is all the best I can say. That's why I say this is just my opinion. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't claim to know what things are going to happen. What other things am I kind of doing financially right now? Well, we talk all the time. There's all kinds of different investments: stocks, bonds, real estate. We love real estate, precious metals. Love that. Don't talk about that probably nearly as much. And there's a time and a season for everything. For people to say, "Oh, real estate sucks. You don't want to be in that," or "It's overpriced." Or, the stock market sucks, it's risky. Yeah, everything has its season, okay? Real estate prices will adjust. When inflation, when interest rates are allowed to go up, that will help bring prices down. When banks and companies are finally allowed to foreclose on people that haven't paid their mortgages in 2 years, there's largely a moratorium on a lot of that, and also collecting rent. When that's all over, there's going to be foreclosures, and prices will come down because they will have to compete with the broader market. Prices will adjust. There you go. Once again, that will be a season to buy income producing real estate. Stock market, there will be a season for that again, when there's a time for that. I kind of think it's always a good time for precious metals. I kind of really do. But what else can we do? There's a lot of things that really are an investment that we really don't think of that way. And kind of something I'm going to pick up on right now and emphasize right now is durable goods. And that includes food. Okay? With the kind of shortages we're seeing, the supply chain disruptions, hurricanes, there's not a lot of good news out there right now. It's sad to say. I'm not a doom and gloomer, but I do deal in reality. And the reality is the system is breaking down. So what do we do about that? How can we position ourselves to deal with a system that is in, I don't want to say collapse or free fall, because that's a little over dramatic at this point. But what do we do about a system that is in, what's a good word for it? In chaos. It's a little chaotic. I think we can all maybe agree on that, maybe not. What can we do? Well, we can position ourselves to have essentials, the essentials we need in our lives, which a lot of that is durable goods. Are you planning in the next 6 months to buy, I don't know, a washer and dryer, a microwave, a refrigerator, things that you really need in your life at some point? I hate to say a car is durable goods, but it's not really an investment. But I guess really what I'm getting at is, I guess the primary thing would be food. Have you positioned yourself where you're the kind of person that has to go to the grocery store every other day to pick up that day's meals? It's not really a good place to be in. With the supply chain shortages, we got weather anomalies, we got fires out east, we got droughts in the plains states, we got floods in the south. It's going to happen to food prices. I go to my local truck stop here, and they haven't had Gatorade in the cooler for about 3 weeks, and they just say they can't get it because apparently they're having labor shortages and they can't get the bottles. We've never really, to a large extent, seen that before, too much in this country. And if we're having shortages on parts and supplies and tires and all these other things, food isn't too much of an impossibility, especially if the supply chain is disrupted. So there's all kinds of foods you can store, canned foods, and if you have large freezers, you can really fill up your freezers with food. I certainly don't want to be in position to have to go without a lot of things. If you live in a rural area and you're off the main water and sewer and gas, maybe it's a good time to fill up your LP tanks. There's all kinds of things that you're going to use over the course of the next year and a half. Maybe it's not a bad idea to buy them now. I'm just saying. And it's not a scare tactic. It's kind of seeing what's happening and what's coming and acting accordingly. And in relation to that, I'm applying that same strategy to the business right now. Trying to have some extra tires on hand, some extra everyday use supplies, maybe oil, antifreeze, washer fluid, wiper blades, common used items, clamps, hoses. Because I tell you what, I am having trouble getting a lot of those things already. Some of the local tire shops say they've been waiting for certain tires for 6 months, and they have no idea when they're going to get them. At this point, when I go buy tires, a lot of times can't get my first choice, maybe can get some of the second choice and have to go to a third alternative to just get my hands on some tires. So I don't know. Think about what you use in your daily life, what it's practical. Not really looking to do anything impractical or things that I'm not likely to use, because that could be just wasting money. Just want to kind of talk about that. Maybe that's an investment that people oftentimes don't think of is in how it's an investment is, if you go buy 20 cans of green beans this week and they're $1.69 a can, who's to say in 6 months they're not $2.29 a can? So you kind of are buying tomorrow's food at today's prices. If it's not totally out of line for you, I wouldn't go into debt to do it. I wouldn't act out of fear, but doesn't hurt to be smart about it. So that's kind of what was on my mind today. What I'm doing right now, not by any means panic buying, not doing that, or hoarding, not by any means. And I don't recommend anybody do that because it's really not good for any of us in the long term. The whole toilet paper thing from last year was a little bit ridiculous. I think everybody would agree with that. We don't want to cause any kind of shortages or catastrophes like that. But anyway, maybe we'll see you next Friday. Everybody take care. We'll see you next time.